Hello and welcome. This is Bobby Jones from MeidasTouch and Valor Media Networks. And in our effort to expose high quality candidates in this election cycle, I am very honored and pleased to be joined by Miss Jessica Killin. She is running for Congress out of Colorado, in an area that I know well. I was stationed there, Colorado Springs area. And first, just welcome to our show and the interview.
Thank you so much for having me, Bobby. I'm really excited to be on, and thank you for your service.
Jessica, if you don't mind me saying, you have a very exquisite and unique background, one that I don't think many public servants have. Can you get into a little bit about who you are and how you wound up running for this congressional seat?
Sure. It's been a wild ride, but a good one. I was born and raised here in Southern Colorado. I'm a fourth generation Coloradan. My parents were public school teachers, and I was born actually south of here, but my parents moved here to the Springs, Colorado Springs, when I was in elementary school. So this is 100% the community that raised me. And I'm not from a military family, but because I grew up here, my mom taught down near Fort Carson. My dad was a middle school principal out at Falcon, and we were surrounded by people who worked at the Air Force Academy. When they told me they didn't have any money for college, I decided to pursue a career in the military, and I'd also been surrounded by this community that's so focused on service. And so went on to get an Army ROTC scholarship, served as a military police officer and paratrooper overseas after finishing college, mostly doing peacekeeping operations, NATO expansion work, then came back to the States to go to law school, and then worked I went to Georgetown. So that's how I spent a decent chunk of my career in DC. Worked at USAA for a little over a decade, started there right before the financial crisis. So worked on shoring up the financial security of veterans and service members at that point. And also expanding USAA's membership. I don't know if you're a USA member, but to include enlisted soldiers, because USA started as an officer only company. Then during Trump 1.0, decided I wanted to return to public service. And ended up doing jobs that, I think, I don't know if I'd be running for Congress if I hadn't had these jobs, and they've obviously will help me hit the ground running in 2027. I was a chief of staff in the House of Representatives after those first Trump midterms in 2018. I also taught federal legislation for a little bit at Georgetown Law. I then was a chief of staff for Marie Gluesenkamp Perez, who won a Trump +6 seat in 2022, which taught me a lot about how to win tough races, and then ultimately ended up over at the White House in the last year and a half of the Biden administration, working as Doug Emhoff's chief of staff. And in that role, mainly worked on anti-Semitism work. I'll just say, as a kid who grew up in a middle-class household on the east side of Colorado Springs, I got to live my version of the American dream. Everybody's version is a little bit different. And the reason I'm running and, why I'm back home, first of all, I've been wanting to get back home for a long time. It's not just my parents and my sisters who are here, but aunts, uncles, cousins. It's good to be home. But, I know that there are too many people across my community and across our country who don't feel the American dream is in reach. They've lost faith in government. They've lost faith in governmental institutions. They don't feel like public servants are actually working for the public good anymore. And I've seen the good, the bad, the ugly of Washington. I know why it's not working. And, as someone who was the only Democrat in my 9th grade civics class, I know how to have tough conversations. I'm comfortable being uncomfortable. And I think we need more people in Congress who are willing to do that.
Jessica, I think you picked up on something, and we can go right into this.
Yeah.
Colorado, very good people there. Got to live there for 3 years. What is the average Coloradan feeling? I mean, at the dinner table, in the community, what are you seeing? What are they telling you?
They're telling me that they are feeling it everywhere. The grocery store, the gas pump. Part of the reason this district is now a district that's in play is because we've had massive growth here, but unfortunately, income pace has not kept pace with the housing costs. So we have a lot of people who don't feel like they can afford to live here. They are struggling. We are here in El Paso County. We have a childcare desert. So, across the board. So childcare, healthcare, groceries, gas, housing, people are feeling the pinch. And even if they've gotten a pay raise if they are moving up the corporate ladder or in their jobs are succeeding, they are not feeling the dividends or the plus of that. Because the cost of living, it just continues to go up and up and up. And even if they think they're moving up the ladder, they're not actually seeing the benefits of that.
Part of that community, a large part of that community, we've kind of already touched on a little bit, is the military presence there. Peterson, Schriever, Fort Carson. We can go down the list, right? Southern Colorado is a huge hub. With everything going on in the world, specifically with America's military, what just happened with Iran and President Trump and how he unilaterally acted, what is your interpretation of what you're seeing as someone who wore the uniform and are now trying to serve people who are still wearing it?
Yeah, this district has 5 military installations, over 100,000 veterans. And so while, of course, cost of living is a huge issue here, what is happening around foreign policy is also something that really people are tuned into in a way maybe other districts they're not. Because anytime you've raised your right hand and sworn to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States, you think about these issues in a little bit more of a pragmatic, thoughtful, strategic way than maybe others. And so, I hear from people everything from like, we should have known. Anyone who's ever been briefed on the Middle East knows that there would be asymmetric warfare around the Strait of Hormuz and Iran, and are recognizing honestly the carelessness that went into going into this conflict. They're also deeply concerned about the use. These are people in my community who care deeply about the debt, who care deeply about making sure that when we do put our troops in harm's way, we're doing it in a strategic, thoughtful way. And they're seeing that is simply not what is happening. And I think they're worried. They're worried also about the way we are alienating our allies. And at a deeper level, when you think about not only we're alienating our allies, but, we are leaving a void with some of those allies, in that we went into this conflict and in Venezuela unilaterally without consulting our allies, without consulting Congress. And what that does is it creates a void that, Xi Jinping, Vladimir Putin, they're filling that void, and how that is dangerous. When I was in the military, people remembered the Marshall Plan. Our leaders cared deeply about NATO and the importance of our allies, not just to global stability, but to our national security. And people in my district know and understand that.
I think you're 100% right. And to take it a little bit further, you're running to be a member of Congress. Congress is supposed to provide oversight for such things. Right. What do you think, as someone who's worked there, who's been behind the scenes, you were chief of staff, how this is supposed to go? How would you grade Congress's performance, and what do you plan to do to change it?
Well, this Congress in particular has not only been ineffective for the most part in legislating, but completely ineffective in its oversight power. And obviously, taking its power of the War Powers Act, tax and spend powers. And this is while this Congress is the worst example I've seen in a long time, I've watched Congress cede its power to the executive branch for probably 5 presidents now. This has not necessarily been a partisan thing that happened during Obama, during Biden. And we need people in Congress who give a crap about Congress, and they want Congress to actually do its job. It is Article 1. I think sometimes people forget that. And we need Congress in order to have a democracy in a country that works, for economic opportunity, for foreign policy, all of these key things that are feeling so fraught right now. We need a Congress that actually wants to take back its power and do its job. And that means we need members of Congress who want to take back their power and do their job. And right now we have too many members of Congress, including my opponent, Jeff Crank, who are focused on their fealty to one person rather than a commitment to do their job and an ability and competence to actually be an effective representative of their constituents. And it's one of the things that I hear also is people are frustrated. They want a member of Congress who's actually going to represent them, who's going to focus on delivering for the people, not delivering for just one person.
You mentioned your opponent, and I think it's very timely that you did that. You're trying to do something that hasn't been done in that seat ever. That's flipping it from red to blue.
Yep.
Why do you think that's possible? What are you going to do? What are you doing that's making it possible?
Well, I think there's a few things. First, this district has changed in a huge way. We've had almost 250,000 new people move into this county in the last decade, and that has just changed the demographics. But this is still a district you have to work for, and that's what I think that Jeff Crank, my MAGA opponent, is taking it for granted. And treating it, it's long time, to your point, been a long time safe Republican seat. And he's treating it like that. He is not engaging with the community. He's not listening to people who disagree with him. And when I think about what the job of a member of the House of Representatives, it's literally the name of it, it's in the title. You need to actually be out talking to people. As I mentioned at the get-go, you have to be willing to be comfortable with being uncomfortable, have difficult conversations, find common ground. And that's, this is my frustration with politics generally right now, is so many people are so siloed on the far left and the far right. We've become so tribal, and we need more people who are okay talking to people who disagree with them. Because that's how, first of all, how we actually achieve results. And that's what I think most Americans want. And I know what most people here in El Paso County want. So Jeff Crank is failing this community, and that he's simply not delivering results. He's not engaging. The community's changing. And when I was talking about the void that we are filling and that Xi Jinping is filling, I'm going to fill that void. I'm going to fill that void by being out talking to people. And that's what I have been doing, listening to people, engaging and having conversations with people lifelong Republicans who are feeling frustrated, lifelong unaffiliated voters who, by the way, are 52% of our electorate here, and finding common ground with them, talking to them about the debt, talking to them about national security, talking to them about cost of living challenges, talking to them about how we bring more business here into El Paso County and creating an opportunity that works for everyone. Jeff Crank is just simply not doing that. And that is why, I think his failure, along with the changes in this community, along with the hard work that I am doing. And honestly, I call myself, people are you progressive? Are you moderate? I'm team normal. I just want stuff to work, is what I say. And so I think along with my team normal approach is how you win and keep a seat like this.
Well, Jessica, I cannot thank you enough. First of all, I love that team normal. I'm going to have to make that a hashtag, because that makes, wow. Just thank you for your service first in uniform, and how you're continuing to honor and fulfill your oath out of uniform. I think it's important that people understand that, hey, with the military background, you're used to dealing with people from all backgrounds, all stripes, and we need a heck of a lot more of that in Congress. I can only wish you the best of luck. You've got, I think you got the primary is coming up here?
June 30th. And if anyone wants to support me, either in the primary or the general, killinforcolorado.com is my website, KILLIN for Colorado.com.
We'll have that in the description and a link to take you directly to the page. Jessica, I cannot thank you for your time, and look forward to talking to you soon after you win. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time. Thank you.
Want to stay plugged in? Become a subscriber to our Substack at MeidasPlus.com. You'll get daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, ad-free episodes of our podcast, and more exclusive content only available at MeidasPlus.com.